Morning YouTube, Defective Reverend here. I know I'm a little bit behind on this video, but today we're going to finish up my prop shaft on my 2000 Chrysler Town and Country. I had to actually go and get the tools that we needed. One was a band pliers, so you can see those. So that way I can properly do the bands on the new boot that I got. Now this is not the original boot, this is not the actual boot that's supposed to go on this, but because they actually have discontinued this boot, and the only way to get it is to buy another prop shaft, and that's over $1,000. This was like 40 bucks. 40 bucks plus like 10 bucks for this, 50 bucks. You know, I'd rather pay 50 than pay 1,000 to get this done. So, alright, well, we got the boot, we got the grease that's supposed to go into it. We got the cap all cleaned out. No extra grease, none of that old grease in there. It's all nice and cleaned. I'm gonna move this out of the way here. That is for a different project. Excuse me here. Okay, we also got our snap and ring removers, our snap ring pliers, excuse me. Sorry, my workbench here is a little messy right now. Just give me a sec here. Alright, so we got the bands. Alright, first thing you want to do, and I'm recording this by myself, so forgive me if you can't really see anything properly, but I will try my best. I gotta get into these snap ring pliers. I hate the way that they do these packaging now. Excuse me, it used to be just you rip off the plastic and you're good to go. No, now the plastic's in between two pieces of cardboard. I think it's like an anti-theft thing or whatever. But there we go, now I'm getting into it. Alright, the pliers I have, they seem tiny, but they will do the job. It's actually like a multi-deal, or however you want to say it. You can put multiple different types of heads on it. Got to figure out exactly how this works here. It's the first time. I've never actually seen any type of pliers like this before. I've only seen them come in like individual, they're already set together type pliers. And of course that twist over. Alright. I need that to squeeze. So, switch it to the other side here. There's actually two different ways that this can go on here. Okay. You can have it set to where it's already open and then you squeeze it and it squeezes shut. Or you can have it the opposite way around. There we go. Now it's locked in. Alright, now the reason why I say that you need these is because the end of this here needs to, sorry about that, needs to come off so you can get the boot on. And there's actually a snap ring right here. If you guys can see it, see if I can get in there. There you go. Right here, there's a snap ring, so that snap ring's got to come off so you can slide this off here and be able to slide the boot on. And then don't forget to put the two bands on first before you put everything else back together. So put the 2 bands on, put the boot on, then put this end piece back on with the snap ring, and you should be good to go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Got this piece off. I got it cleaned up. If you're turning these here and you don't feel any grinding or hear any grinding, and you can pull it apart like this and see some grease in there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but leave them alone. I would not suggest taking these apart because, as you can see, all those little pins in there, you'd have to make sure go right back into this actual spot. And trust me, you don't want to have to do that. If you do, grease. Grease keeps them in place. Alright, well, I got this all cleaned up. Like I said, it was held on by a snap ring. There's a snap ring. And it took a little convincing to get it taken off. And because I don't have the proper hammer or anything to do it, what I did is I took a piece of board and my other small hammer, and I put the piece of board up against these and then pounded on the board. And it took, like I said, a little convincing, but it did eventually come off. Now, after it came off, this is what your end looks like. It's got the teeth in it and everything. I cleaned it all up. So now this is ready for the new boot. Alright, now what we're going to do is, like I said before, don't forget your bands. So we're going to go ahead and put both of them on there. So this way they're on there. We don't forget about them. Alright, now this, you may be thinking, oh, geez, defective. It's not going on there. Yes, it's meant to do that. You want a nice tight seal. So what you do, doing this one person, I ended up having to put this into a vise. As you can see, I put a piece of cloth in between the teeth of the vise and the axle to hopefully prevent any type of damage to the axle, and hopefully. Plus it also helps to keep into place. Alright, now back to the boot. Like I said, it won't go on. Okay, do not put grease. I don't care what anybody says. Do not put grease onto the boot or onto the shaft to try and get the boot on. Alright, the boot will stretch. Okay, so we just put it on. What I like to do is just twist it, if you guys can see. There we go. It gets past this piece here, and we got it on there. Okay, now the next step to take would be to push this back as far as possible. There we go. Grease this up. Make sure it's all nice and clean like it is. Grease this up. Put your end back on. Or put this piece back on. Make sure it goes past this groove right here so you can get your snap ring back on. And then once you do that, then you're ready to put the cap back on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Be right back. Alright. I got the end back on here. Again, it took a little convincing. I had to use my wood and my hammer. But I did get it past where you can see the groove for the snap ring. And of course you want to make sure that it's even all the way around. If it's not even all the way around, you're going to have some issues when you put everything back together and it's sitting there trying to rotate and it's going to wobble. So the next step would be to put the snap ring back on, and then put your grease in to your end cap and put that on, put your boot on, the new bands. So I'm going to do this one step at a time, and I'll show you guys after each one is done. Snap ring, of course, that should easily go right on. Like I said, should easily go right back on. But, of course, nothing goes as planned. There we go. That is back on. Alright, so that's back on. Now I'm going to go ahead and put grease in the end, put this back on, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like each step of the way. I'm back here. I got the grease into the cap. I'll show you that here in a second. I used the grease that comes with the joint. Okay, don't try and use any other grease, the best grease, because it is considered actually a CV joint. Why? Not quite sure, but it is. But as you can see, this grease is nice and thick, unlike the other grease that came out of here, which was like ink and really runny. So that's when you definitely know it was bad. Now, I do have the axle sitting like this, and the reason why I have it like this is because I wasn't quite sure on the grease. But it also helps with, I can actually hold this into place, and then I can do the bands. Now, with the bands, they have this little deal here, and these are the bands that come with the joint, or with the boot. These little tips right here, little square pieces, that's where this tool right here comes in handy. Okay, what you do is you take it, put it on there, squeeze it together, and it crimps it. Now when you do that, you want to make sure that these bands are in place, and you can actually tighten them up yourself. What you gotta do is pry that up there and move it to as close as you want, and then crimp it. Same thing with the back one here. It's exactly the same way. There you go, exactly the same way. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead, put the boot on, crimp the clamps, and the best thing to do too is crimp the clamp, or the band, I'm sorry, that goes onto this first. So this way you can actually adjust it for as far as you need to go, and then crimp the one on the back. You want to do that because you don't want to end up being too long or too short when you go and put this back into the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on and be right back. Okay, I got the boot back on, and plenty of room for it to be moved around. I made sure everything's, free to go. So now it's good to go back under the vehicle. So from here, if you've already gotten this taken off, you know how to put it back on the vehicle. So I'm not going to show you guys that. So thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. Almost forgot that. Like and subscribe. Peace out.